This is Jerry Mason, the Kickin Lawyer, and I'm inviting everyone to join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. on the Kicking Lawyer fan page on Facebook for Law Talk Live, where we discuss business, politics, current events, and the law. If you miss the live version, you can watch the playback on YouTube or listen on your favorite podcast platform. All right, Jerry Mason, the Kickin Lawyer, and this is a pre-recorded law talk. Feel free to still comment and all that good stuff, share, but it is pre-recorded, and I'll get into who my guest is in just a moment. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to the podcast across platforms. Also, all the Kickin Lawyer stuff and whatnot. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it. I think we've got something out there on it. And then also don't forget to download, if you haven't already, Wonder Girl by N.A. the band. It is free, and it's available wherever you get your music from, Spotify, iTunes, etc. Their full album drops on Valentine's Day, and it's completely free. So you can download that and listen to their good music. I want to thank Michelle Allen. She's a longtime sponsor of our show. She is your go-to in the area Cry-Like Realtor affiliate broker, and if you're going to buy, sell, rent, lease real estate, she would be glad to help you out. Mason's High Octane Martial Arts in Covington, which my guest here knows a little bit about that. Started in 93. We're relocating the place, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, to our biggest location ever. Be glad to have you guys join us for some lessons. Just visit masonsmartialarts.com, and we'll get you set up. And, of course, the Cellar Restaurant and Prohibition Bar. Every Tuesday, I will be there doing trivia. We have live music on Fridays. We have a ladies' night on Thursdays, a whole lot of fun stuff. Just check out, I think it's Cellar TN's the website, or just give us a call. We'd be glad to get you in and try some of the good food. And then Masonite Digital Marketing. Josh is always ready to help you take your brand to the next level. He manages all my stuff, does a good job. He'd be glad to help you too. Just visit masonitemarketing.com. Joining me today is longtime friend, long time, long before I was Kickin Lawyer, was just the Kickin guy, is Mr. James Todd. How are you, James?
Good. Thanks for the invite.
Tito, too. You still go by Tito?
Yeah, it just depends on
who knows
which legal jurisdiction I'm in.
Okay, well, so let everybody know what you do. You know, back when we were tighter, where I was seeing you all the time, you were doing kind of like me. You were kind of a jack of all trades, a whole lot of stuff. So what's going on now?
Well, James Todd. I'm a registered nurse by trade these days. Background. Been an EMT for 21 years almost. Was a firefighter, police officer for 15 or so years. Martial arts instructor.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've done it. This side of selling rims and beepers. I think I've covered it.
Yeah, you're because correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you? Yeah, you took when you were a kid at the Ripley location.
Correct.
And
95, 96.
Yeah, because I remember your mom always bringing you in, and I was a teenager at the time, but I think I was one of the instructors, and I remembered you then. It just shows I'm way older than you, and then you came back as later, almost an adult or as an adult. I think you were an adult because you had family and stuff, right? Started training, and you got up. What'd you get? Second degree?
Nah, first degree.
First degree. Okay, first degree, and then you fought some in the MMA, did MMA jiu-jitsu and stuff like that with us. Yeah, so you're real active in all the martial arts stuff. I just saw, a matter of fact, today Chris Bader posted an old picture. I don't know if you saw it. It popped up on Facebook. It's got you in it. And it's where we were punching the candles out.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So that was...
I run across that in my memory feed or something recently.
Yeah. And then your family all did martial arts.
Yeah.
And it seems like almost all of you got black belt or did get black belt.
Close.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Close.
My son got his tiger black belt, but how things go.
Oh, yeah. No, look, man, a lot of people will start as kids and they'll think of it. And honestly, it's good to do it as a child because you build life skills.
Oh, 100%.
But, sometimes the other stuff comes up, especially the teenage years, and they do other stuff. And sometimes I think they find their way back to it, as an adult where maybe they see value in it in a different way.
Right.
Yeah. And you could always come train with us again. We'd love to have you.
This probably sounds like, but it's on the agenda.
Sure, sure.
These days, the phrase, a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah, well, you've always been like that. You and I are very similar in that regard.
Yeah.
We both have always had a lot of stuff going.
I've got too many fires with irons in them.
Oh, okay.
So,
what shift are you working nursing?
So I'm doing travel nursing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
how's that going?
It's going good. As good as the state of healthcare in this country these days can go. But Yeah, let me see. So I was teaching nursing. I was a teacher at the Tennessee College of Applied Technologies here in Covington for several years. And then COVID hit, and I kind of a mix of things. I was not a fan of teaching via Zoom. I'm way too animated in personal, and
Yeah, I don't like the Zoom either.
I can't do it. And also, just kind of had the bug to go back to bedside nursing, and so yeah, I decided I was just going to go do a 13-week travel contract, and I'm 2.5 years into that now.
So how does that work? Do you go for a set period somewhere else, or is it local? How does it work?
It's kind of it's whatever you want to do, really. I mean, some people, they do the travel jobs, and they go, destination places, Miami. They go to the beach. They go to wherever, or they go to where the money is, which is usually not the desired places.
Yeah.
So you work through an agency that you've got a direct agent that's looking and kind of scouting out for you for places, and you put in kind of your requests of where you want to do. And so I've been kind of local. I've been like Arkansas basically the entire time, Eastern Arkansas, because I've still got a 14-year-old that's not quite grown yet. So a few years, then sure, we'll hit up the Hawaii contracts or something. My wife and I are both doing travel nursing right now. And
well, how does that work licensing wise?
So with nursing, you've got a group of states that are in a compact together. 27, however many states it is. And so your license, if you're in a compact state, your license is,
Recognized.
Yeah, it's reciprocal across those state lines. And then if, say, for whatever reason, I got the bug to go to California, then I would have to apply, do my licensing in those states and maintain those licenses to be able to open the doors to go there. So I've just stayed within compact states, honestly, just because of the ease.
Yeah.
And where the need is, and to keep it kind of local. It's close enough on some of these shifts. The travel, everybody, that's the thing now. Everybody's like, ooh, travel nursing, yeah. Well, yeah, the pay is better than your staff jobs around here for sure. But, go down that rabbit hole, the pay for travel nursing, most places is where the pay should be across the board. But you do get some benefits. You get, stipends, per diems, meals. They help cover, because, a lot of times you're having to stay and travel and do things like that. And so, I just wanted to stay where, kids have something going on with school.
You could still be present.
Right. And we've had some family things. My mother just passed away in the last year. My wife's mother passed away also. And so we've had to be able to take care of some family things. And so we need to be able to where, hey, if I just got to suck it up and drive home after the shift, I can. I'm close enough. And we've been doing that. And, it's worked. It's been good. There's definitely a need.
Well, you probably get a lot of varied experience if you go to different facilities.
Oh, indeed.
My wife, Madeline, has been mostly in the Baptist, but when we first got married, she worked at Methodist North, and when she was in school, she was at, I want to say, Arkansas Children's Hospital. And so she's gotten, even in the Baptist network, to see a lot of different ways people do stuff, and I would think that would add value because of that experience.
Absolutely.
Of different hospitals and stuff.
Yeah, I've been able to bring that kind of stuff to the table. I'm in a small rural critical access type ER. That's kind of where I cut my teeth. Ripley, Covington, Dyersburg. That's where I've worked most of my career, and before that, even working EMS in small towns. And so, when you go to work at a hospital that's small like that, you don't have the resources, you don't have the supplies a lot of the time, and so that ability to kind of figure it out comes in really handy. And then, so there's been numerous times where we've been in a situation, and even the doctor's like, whatever, and I'm like, well, hey, when I worked at Baptist, or when I worked here, or wherever, we did this. And
yeah.
Oh, okay. And so, yeah, you're right. Having varied experience, and when you're at one place for a while, any job, not even healthcare, you kind of get set in. This is the way we do it. So being able to kind of broaden that out and bring that is pretty beneficial for staff, patients, everybody. So,
if somebody's watching and was interested in getting into healthcare or doing like you done, I have my own idea that I'm curious if we're on the same wavelength here. What is a skill, or what is training, or what do you think is something they should focus on, or that might even be a metric to test if they would be good at that job, in your opinion?
So, to me, the most important skill you'll ever have especially in healthcare, but this is public service in general, is interpersonal communication skills. You've got to be able to talk to people.
That was exactly what I was going to say.
It's it.
Because I was going to say that even in law enforcement, firefighting, EMS, medical, lawyer, all of it, martial arts instructor.
I think it applies to most jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and all of it. Yeah, but some I think even more than others. Like if you're a computer programmer, or if you're in some position where you don't directly have to always interact with the public, I could see you being a little more less personable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree that jobs where you're in a service position, it's very important to have really good, exceptional communication skills. And I do think those jobs can help build them.
Yeah.
I think I had okay communication skills when I started as a cop at 21, but I think part of that's because I had taught martial arts for years and interacted with people.
Right.
And then it just got better from there because then now I'm dealing with people in traumatic situations.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's a good
Yeah,
point.
when I was teaching nursing, the students would get ready the first time we go to a clinical site, and we're going to go, and this is their first time as, new little baby training nurses, and they're going to go, and they've got all this, these ideas in their heads. They're going to do all these super skills, and they've watched Grey's Anatomy, and they've seen this, and they're about to be a nurse. It's cool. And every class, day one, we go, and usually like in a nursing home or someplace like that. I go in there, I'm like, all right, bring them in there. We're briefing them up. Like, here's your patient assignment. This is going to be your patient today. And they're like, oh, yeah, what are we going to do? I'm like, all right, I need you to take 45 minutes and go talk to them. Okay, about what? You tell me that. What do you want to talk about? Whatever. Talk about the weather. Talk about the kids. Talk about, I don't care. Go talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay, then what are we going to do? Well, you may talk some more. So, and then that was, because, to me, that's paramount. Like, if you cannot communicate, it doesn't matter how good you are at starting an IV, giving a medicine, doing whatever.
Well, there's studies too that show that that specifically nurses and people that are trained on the nurse path versus the physician path. The reason I bring this up is when I was in law school, my thesis when I graduated was it was Unshackle the Nurse Practitioner was the theory. The theory that I come up with after the research I did was if they would stop with the doctor supervision of nurse practitioners, it could lower a lot of American health care. And what I found was when you look at the metrics of quality, or at least the perception of quality from patients, the patient perceived better quality of care from nurse practitioners than physicians on the same practice area. And it seemed to me, and you may be able to speak to this, that a lot of it was because nurses are trained to treat the patient, physicians are trained to treat the ailment. And so the nurses have better bedside manner.
Right. And so that's my my current endeavor is nurse practitioner school. My wife and I went, we both had our associate's degree, our RN. We went to UT, Knoxville, got our bachelor's together. That was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Anyone thinking about going to college with your spouse, I highly recommend that.
Did you do it virtual or did you go? I didn't know Knoxville did any.
UT has got an amazing RN to BSN program. It's specifically geared towards nurses who got their associate's degree from Tennessee Board of Regent colleges.
Cool.
And can't recommend it enough. It's good. And so we're now going back, and we're in. My wife's actually a little bit ahead of me. I'm starting this year. We're doing a BSN to DNP program, so we're both getting our doctorate in nurse practitioner. But you're exactly right on that. That's a nationwide. That's a pretty big thing right now because nurse practitioners really flooded the market over the last almost probably 20 years now.
Yeah,
and the physicians are not super happy about it because their pay is getting cut everywhere. Their hours are getting cut everywhere. COVID didn't help it at all. But the thing is, we're going into a huge deficit of primary care providers, specifically, let alone all healthcare providers, doctors, nurse practitioners, PAs, all that. And so, I no hate to my doctor friends, but I do agree with you that if we're going to fix this model, which I don't know if I necessarily think we can fix the healthcare model that's broke, but we're going to have to get more providers. And the quickest, easiest, and more manageable way of that is your mid-level, your nurse practitioners. And so, I agree that, some states have went autonomous practice where they're not supervised like that.
Arkansas just passed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arkansas just passed it. They freed the nurse practitioner.
And
I think in the entry level, like general practice, a lot of physicians don't like doing general practice because they don't make as much money. So they end up becoming a specialist some way. But the problem is these rural markets are underserved anyway.
Yeah.
So if you don't have nurse practitioners, there's a lot of rural areas that won't have any health care provided.
Right.
So, I think that's good opportunity for nurse practitioners because generally I think they're going to make more money than they would have made as a nurse if they're general practice. And the doctors are going to end up going and being, specialists in whatever. But like I said, the studies show that within their scope of practice, specific areas that they were trained in, they tended to And I'm not saying that they didn't give better service, but the study showed that the patient viewed it as better care because they had better bedside manner. They were able to communicate with them better.
Care. And that's right, because and some really good doctors come across, you'll hear people talk about, I saw this doctor and he was in and out of the room and his bedside manner sucked and he was just whatever. But they're trained on the medical model and they're trained to see, assess, treat, and they're focused so much on the disease process or the current situation. So goes back to that personal communication skills. Like, some doctors are super great and they pull up a chair, they sit down next to you and like, oh, how you doing? How's your family? How's your whatever? And then some of them, nothing to do with their ability to treat. They may be super great, but their mind's going 1,000 miles an hour, and they may have 10 other patients that are.
Yeah, I was going to say they've got a bill for all these folks, so you got to get them in and out.
And so it comes across as that they're kind of distant, they're cold, whatever. With a nurse, on the nursing model, is more care, compassion, the interpersonal skills, where sometimes just words and reassurance is the best medicine you'll ever give a patient.
Yeah. Sometimes
you can't fix what's going on with them, but just being able to make them more comfortable is tangible. I mean, it really does work. But like you said, with the primary care doctors, they're trying to. It's almost like a mill. I mean, it's an assembly line with getting these patients in and out. The average right now, I think, is about 7 minutes you have with your primary care physician in your workup. And so you think about somebody that has diabetes, hypertension. Most people have a list of problems. So this person's got to manage all these things for every one of their patients in 7 minutes. And then, the reimbursements now, I think Medicare reimbursement for a primary care visit right now is $35. So the only way that these doctors are going to make any money is volume.
Yeah.
And it's not conducive to quality.
Yeah.
So, man, I don't know. It's interesting times, just that part of it alone. And then we go into the staffing shortages. We're still having major issues with finding beds for patients that are critically ill that need to be transferred to higher levels of care, and there's no beds available. There's plenty of beds available. There's no nurses. That's what they keep telling us.
Well, it's kind of like you go to a restaurant and the tables are open. It's because they don't have staff to work them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people are standing there and they don't understand. Well, there's a table right there. I understand. I can put you at it, but I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
And so, when COVID hit, obviously that put a big strain on the system. It was just mass influx of more patients. And then you had a lot of people going travel nursing. I know several nurse practitioner friends that went and did travel contracts with their RN license because it was more money. And so now they're like, well, everybody went off to go travel nurse. And the travel nurses is what took all of our nursing. If that was the case, that same number of nurses are still in the pool here. It's the people that maybe didn't sign up for the crisis that the COVID presented. Like, man, you know what? I don't necessarily didn't realize I was signing up to catch something that could kill me.
Well, plus I think some people left or were forced out because there was this whole the whole vaccine mandates.
Yes.
That I'm surprised there hadn't been litigation over, but more litigation over. But I know some people left because of their feelings on that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure that even further caused more crisis.
Don't want to get too controversial.
Yeah, we don't have to get into all of it.
This episode of The Kicking Lawyer brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah. No, definitely not. So, on another topic, I have seen you and your family. Y'all come and y'all really dress to the nines, man, at the cellar.
Oh, we love it, man.
Yeah. Where did y'all get the clothing?
A little bit of everywhere. I mean, honestly,
because some of it looks very authentic.
So, man, we scrounge stuff off Amazon, Goodwill, Walmart.
Yeah. If you guys check out the seller or his social media, there's some photos of them on there where they came to the restaurant in 20s era clothing. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Look good. You fit in perfect.
Yeah, it's
like
great.
You're part of the decoration.
And the place is so cool. I mean, we love it. And, it's fun. If you're going to go out and you're going to have a nice dinner, you're going to go to a really nice place that's themed like that. Now, it would probably be weird if we dressed like that and went to Cracker Barrel or something.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
But, why not?
Yeah.
It's fun.
I agree. It is fun. I agree. It adds to the whole thing, especially if, we had the New Year's Eve thing there. It was a masquerade ball, and almost everyone who came did dress like 20 style. And it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It literally felt like you had stepped back in time, sort of, because we had a live jazz band and the whole deal. But what I was going to say is when you come to the cellar, you're also like me. You like bourbon. And so he brought, as a gift today, Sweeten's Cove Tennessee, Kentucky and Tennessee bourbon whiskey. And I've never had it, so I'm looking forward to that. And you said, what did you say about this one? Who is it from?
So, run across this by accident while I was on campus at UT Knoxville. Someone was talking about it, and how it must have been near the launching. But Peyton Manning, who was a deity in Knoxville.
Yeah, I'm aware of who he is.
Him and I think Andy Roddick, the tennis player, and maybe like Jim Nantz, the announcer, went together. I don't know a lot about it, but it's named after a golf course that a bunch of them played somewhere in Tennessee, and they decided to get together and make some booze. But it's pretty good, and I wondered if trying to find something that maybe the Kickin lawyer hadn't tried in the bourbon world.
I haven't had it, and I do like trying different stuff, man.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times, especially these videos I do for the cellar, some of them it's the higher end bourbons just because some people don't know about them, and honestly, it's an opportunity for me to try them. But the price, I've found a lot of bourbons that I don't know what this one costs, but I've found a lot of bourbons that aren't that expensive that are really good. I mean, a lot of it is. I was talking to a guy about this yesterday on bourbon specifically, or Scotch or any of that. It's kind of like beer. Your preference. Everybody's different.
Right.
Some people like Bud Light, some people like Miller Lite or whatever. And so, it's your specific palate. But there are some that I think universally are deemed pretty good quality, Yeah. But I do like trying these different ones because I do, unfortunately, drink enough bourbon that I can detect some differences in them.
And my wife and I, she doesn't even drink hardly at all. No, she doesn't even drink at all. She'll try, but she's just not a fan.
Yeah.
But we got on a kick where, I don't even know what motivated this. We got on a kick. We were going to buy and try any liquor that was, like celebrities. They don't have their brand. Like, Ryan Reynolds is was it Aviation Gin or whatever.
You got Matthew McConaughey's Long Branch through Wild
right.
Turkey. It's good too.
The Rock has something.
That's right.
Too.
Yeah,
that's
Terramana.
That's tequila.
Tequila.
Yeah.
That and Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Skull.
I have seen that. I haven't tried it.
I'm not a vodka fan. I'm not, actually. I mean, bourbon's about maybe some Irish whiskey, some Scotch, but kind of a brown liquor kind of guy when I drink. But, but it was cool to try, and some of them were a little more expensive, but it's we got on a kick to doing that because honestly, some of them have really cool bottles, and my wife's thinking, man, I'll go into the store and I've never heard of this one, never seen this one. I'm just looking at stuff, and she really likes the packaging, and I've noticed that's been kind of a trend that. And they'll put some really horrible stuff in a really cool looking bottle and sell it for a premium.
Yeah, and and I don't try all of those. Like I've heard of what you were just talking about, all of them. The only one I tried is Long Branch, and I honestly wanted to not like it because I like Matthew McConaughey, but he's kind of my wife's hall pass, and so I didn't want for him to have good bourbon,
Yeah.
But I liked it. It's good.
Yeah,
we've carried it at the cellar and we always run out. So we got people now wanting us to get more of it in.
Yeah.
What's your go-to if you're drinking bourbon? What if you had to pick one that you're drinking regularly?
Man, when I do it, I don't necessarily have Wild Turkey. Honestly, if I had to just fast fire, never go wrong with that. But it really depends on the mood. Kind of a special occasion, and that's one thing I like about your Bourbon Guild thing there at the cellar, because it gives me an excuse, but to try
different things.
Stuff.
So that thing was spawned. My wife and I went to Flying Saucer.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go, I'm always thinking, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do this?
Yes.
Why didn't I do this? And they've got the saucers, the plates or whatever if you drink all the beers.
Right.
And I was like, we could do this at the cellar with bourbon. But what I wanted to do was I didn't want it to be quite as the Flying Saucer's a lot. I always like 200 or 300 beers. I think you got to try.
Like
I wanted this to be much more attainable, and I made sure, even though we have higher end bourbons, there aren't really that many. I don't think I have any of the higher end bourbons on the card, so that anybody could come, whatever their pocketbook, and if you have one drink every visit, eventually you get the card.
Yeah.
So
it makes something that's
one thing you may be interested in. Josh, what to make sure we get his email on it. So we've got a seller newsletter. There's two of them that's going to go out a month. One is just a generic seller newsletter that's got coupons for the restaurant. The other one is a bourbon-focused one.
Okay.
And the other thing we're starting, and I think we're filming it Wednesday, Josh?
Next Wednesday.
As I think about it, I might even kind of promote that and let people come watch it. We're going to be doing a bourbon show.
Nice.
On, tasting the bourbons. This coming Wednesday, what's the time? Next Wednesday.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow, 5:15.
So we'll say 5:30. We'd probably be ready to film it around 5:30. And since we're going to be doing it while the place is open, I thought about setting up the lights and everything and have people sitting there and watching. And if they want to try their stuff, they can. And me and C.H. Sullivan are going to – he's a big bourbon guy, and we're going to try some different stuff. So
that's cool.
I get all into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't, it's funny. I don't drink. I'll drink maybe 2 twice a week.
Right.
And it's more the experience and the taste for me. I try to be real controlled because I'm usually technically working.
Right.
But it's all kind of the image too. You know, the fedora, and I'm walking around with the bourbon and the whole deal.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, just a good high quality cigar and a bourbon.
Yeah. We've had some other people ask about us putting a humidor in there, but I don't know. I need to look at the laws on how that works because I know we don't want them inside, but we do have a patio,
right?
So they could go outside and use that, I think. But I don't know. There's a whole lot of extra.
And that's one thing going back to just the cellar and the experience. Like, my son he loves it, and of course we like dressing up and stuff. That's another thing we do. We do living history, Civil War.
That's right. I forgot about that.
We do living history stuff for that, and so we like to dress up. Anyway, but to him it's fun. We're dressing up. We're going to get a great steak. We're doing stuff like that. But to me, we're getting to tap into something that's men don't dress like men anymore. So clothing has gotten so boring in the last century. So putting on some suspenders and a pocket watch and some cufflinks and a tie tack, or little things like that a lot of young men aren't exposed to. Even if it's not like a single mom raising, you want to talk about the stereotype, whatever, single mom, there's no dad in the house, whatever. But honestly, a lot of guys just don't dress fancy, if you want to put it that way. And it's fun. And I think a young man should learn that. Now, whether they want to or not, but it's, how many 20-year-olds, 20-something-year-olds, 30-year-olds on their wedding day have to get somebody to tie their tie for them.
Yeah. Well, also, though, I think some of it goes to confidence. Absolutely. Because if you're going to dress unique, you got to be a confident fella.
Yes.
So, like, I walk around with that pimp hat on all the time, and I have no shortage of confidence, sometimes borderline arrogance that's maybe unfounded, but I think you gotta be willing. I think it's a good test of confidence because really, ultimately, what difference does it make?
Right.
As long as you're not out here wearing offensive stuff, dress how you want to. I think it's a good way to show you have some confidence. Yeah. And I also think, and this is an old guy now saying it, but I think ladies like confidence. And so when a guy is dressed better or different, I think sometimes it opens the doors for other opportunities.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm all about it. So the living history stuff, is it? Do y'all do Civil War or World War I
mostly
or II,
Civil War. We've done some Revolutionary War, but mostly Civil War. I'm kind of a history buff, and my son is definitely fell into those shoes. That's his goal. He wants to be a historian. I mean, that's pretty much
cool.
For years. He's been sticking with that. And so, man, I did Civil War reenacting when I was younger, and it was fun. It was cool.
Have you looked at your heritage, Jenny, to see if you had anybody in any of it?
Yeah, I've run it down pretty extensively, and so and we do some of these we go to the reenactments in the state and national parks and do stuff, and I work for them, and then I also do some work for the for the parks as like a 19th century black powder weapons expert. We have our own cannon. We have a full size Civil War cannon, and so do that part of it too. And so yeah, I've looked back the lineage on the Confederate side. I've got several. Actually, I've got some pretty short lineage. My second great grandfather and his brother both enlisted in 1861 and fought through the duration of the war, were captured, prisoners of war, things like that. And I found some really cool documents and worked with some historians at some of the POW camps that were in the North. And then just recently, I don't know what made me think of it. I was, had a few minutes. I'm like, man, I'm gonna pull up my family tree app and just kind of start digging. It's fun to, whatever. And I found a Union ancestor on my father's side, and so I'm like, okay, that's cool. I hadn't done that yet. I hadn't found that. And then as I get to digging through it, I ended up finding out that my Union ancestor was a third great grandfather. His unit is the one that captured my Confederate grandfather.
Oh, really?
Like 6 days before they surrendered Appomattox. And I was like, what are the odds?
Yeah. Well, back then there were just fewer people too, though. Like I've what are you using for the research? What is it, Ancestry or?
I've used Ancestry. I think the one I'm using most now, I want to say it's called Family Tree. It's the one that's the program, the software is kind of ran by the Mormon Church.
I did hear free. About that they had a good, that was a good program.
Yeah, and it's completely free. And
I wish I had thought about that one first, but a few years back, because Alex, my son, he was big into the family trees, And I had been in them too, but as I've gotten older and especially working, I just hadn't had time to look into it. So for fun on the side, he traced our lineage back through Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
And we pay for the family pack on it, where you get it'll give you hints if it it thinks you're. And then I did he and I both did the blood testing.
Yeah.
And then it even links your DNA with people that are on there.
Yeah,
so.
I've done that. The 23andMe or one of those type things. I don't know which one we did, but
it was very interesting.
It is.
But and we had folks on both sides, and then he traced us all the way back to England under King Edward II, and then even found that we were directly related to Rollo the Viking.
Nice.
Ragnar's brother through marriage. The king, one of the princesses married Rollo, and then they had a kid, and somehow there's a direct line to them. It's
cool.
very interesting though
Yeah,
that you could go back like that and see that.
And George Mason.
Yeah, that was the sort of revolutionary period.
Right.
But a lot of, and I'm not going to I'll go down that rabbit hole because I'm a big historian on that. So I like the American Revolutionary period a lot.
What about Perry Mason?
Yeah, he's obviously my uncle.
That's where the lawyer blood comes from.
You know, I watch one of my favorite things. Me and Dave, my buddy Dave, is a lawyer, and we would actually we did a video. I think it may still be up on YouTube. I don't know. Josh might have taken it down, but we got to drinking too much bourbon one time and decided that it would be fun to watch Perry Mason and comment on it as lawyers drinking bourbon. So we just had the video running, and we were watching Perry Mason. Getting a little too intoxicated while we watched. Anyway, when we commented as lawyers, it was funny. But I enjoy Perry Mason, but dude is breaking the law all the time. Have you watched those original episodes of Perry Mason?
They're great.
That dude is shady. He'd come in there, and I always felt bad for Detective Tragg, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Because Perry Mason would hide evidence and move it around and all kinds of stuff you can't do. Anyway, it's a good show to watch, though.
Oh, yeah.
He only lost, his whole career, he only lost one case.
Really?
Yeah, he was always able in that 30 minutes to get the case solved. There's one case, though, I think he lost. So, anyway. Well, anything else you got going on, or how can people find you?
Please don't. No, I mean, that's it. I mean, we stay super busy. Just, working and schooling, and we just bought a home in the last year, which is great.
You know, another thing I just thought of you done that we didn't even touch on is you used to be in some Mason Studios movies.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, he was King Koopa in our Mario fan.
And you're doing another one now, right?
Yeah, we tried to get him to a cameo, but his schedule's just we couldn't get him to line up because we're gonna have him come out and be in the new one.
Yeah, we'll
get you in the next one.
We'll get some stuff together.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I've done some acting and some crew work with some bigger productions, and then that and music, and man,
oh, that's right, I forgot you did music too. Yeah. Again, man, you're like me, you just got so many things you get
Jack
into.
of all trades.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we stay busy. We're just trying to one day at a time in this crazy world we got going on here.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, you've always been a good friend to me. I've
Same.
always enjoyed your company. You were great with us at the Taekwondo school, and I think you had a good family. And you've always been. There's certain people, man, that in life, to me, are like energy, like batteries. They give energy, and then there's certain people that are like energy vampires.
Yes.
The vampires are the hard ones to be around.
They are.
But you always seem to, I think, put more out than you take, if that makes sense. So anyway, I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, I mean that's, and probably that fuels why I, have had so many of the jobs that I've had and the types of jobs. Because apparently I did the ancestry. I'm not part Jamaican, so it's not natural for me to have 7 jobs. But I grew up with, and my grandmother.
That might be stereotypical. I'm not sure.
No. Hard workers, man. Hard workers.
Okay.
Much respect.
I did say something. I said something to Madeline. We were at I'm trying to learn Spanish, right? I'm on Duolingo.
Me too.
Oh, well, really? You have to friend me on it. We'll do a quest together.
I didn't know that was a thing, but
yeah,
yes.
you could do it. I didn't know it either, but I got these 2 other people local that are doing it with me. I'm on a 65-day streak so far.
I think I'm like 540.
Oh man, you got me whipped.
Yeah, and I still
well,
can't
didn't you
even
have
order
some? Isn't that
at Taco
some in your
Bell.
heritage?
No, that's the great thing.
I always thought you had. I know you well enough. I could tell you. You're dark, so I always thought maybe you had a little Spanish in you, a little Mexican or something.
Yeah, and that's the great thing is that apparently Italian and Cherokee makes pretty Hispanic-looking skin.
Okay.
And then in 8th grade, a good friend, I don't know what I was doing. I was being an ADD 8th grader. He tells me to quit acting like an idiot Tito Jackson, dancing around like I was. And the nickname Tito
That's where it came
stuck.
from. Okay.
So not only do I look Hispanic, I have a nickname Tito. That's just not even named after a Hispanic guy.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So, no, and I've been trying to get my Spanish up better just in healthcare. It's super helpful. And plus, where we work, we've got a lot of migrant workers. We got a lot of Spanish-speaking people. And, I mean, it's just beneficial. And, but.
Yeah, I think, well, you know, as the U.S. grows and becomes more of a melting pot in the next 10, 15 years, I think it's just going to be. Plus, it's to me, it's respectful to be able to speak it.
Yeah.
What I have found is if you're. Most Americans, English-speaking Americans, they go abroad, and I found this back 20 plus years ago when I was on the Taekwondo team.
Right.
But when you go abroad, Americans are very entitled. We go to a Korea and we're like, why don't they speak English? You know, we're like bothered that they don't. But if you speak Korean there, they're so thankful and impressed that you're. They just, you know, they have a different view on appreciation, that you have appreciation for their culture. But over here, we expect people to be able to speak, you know, English. But I think that there's an appreciation for other cultures, especially if you can delve in and learn some of their language.
So with some of my friends, military friends, and contractor friends over the years, when I've done, you know, law enforcement, and of course I was a SWAT medic and things like that, and so I've done some training and some teaching also. And anyway, so I'd picked up a few words of Arabic just with some of my doctors that were Arabic speaking, and so I don't know. In the last year or so, I had a Arabic speaking man came in. His wife spoke English very well, but so walk in the room and she's obviously translating for him. And so I just asked her, I said, what's his native tongue? And she's like, Arabic. We're from Jordan. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so I looked at him. I was like, it's me, James. It's me. You know, which sounds like it's me, it's James, but it's me is my name is James. I just used my one of 5 Arabic words, and like you said, the man he just lit up, you know, and so here's this guy that's having a heart attack, and he's now could care less about the heart attack. He's like, oh, wow,
somebody speaks.
He's talking to the wife, like, ask him, how does he know Arabic? What else does he know? Whatever. I'm like, well, let's focus on you right now, sir. You're having a heart attack. And
I know like 2 phrases in Chinese, and I made the mistake of saying those to some Chinese people, and then they immediately started speaking Chinese, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking
I get the
about.
problem when I go to like Mexican restaurants. I'll come to sit down, and then they'll see me, and they'll just
Immediately think that
and I'm
you're-
like,
yeah.
nope, bro, can't help you, man. Espanol is muy pequeño.
Well, I'll work on mine. You work on yours. And
Yeah,
send me a Duolingo thing.
I'll figure that out.
But thanks for your time today. I'm not
Absolutely.
trying to rush
Thanks
you
for
out,
having
James.
me
I
on.
talked to you all day, but like I said, unfortunately, Josh has got us on a time constraint here.
Thanks,
so.
young Jamie.
Yeah. But thanks for joining us. And thank you guys for watching, too. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to the podcast across platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, Kickin' Lawyer stuff. Josh is going to have the Kickin' Lawyer store up real soon where you can buy merch if you want to.
We've sort of soft launched it, sort of.
Okay, cool. Then NA the band, of course, they've got Wonder Girl out. Make sure you download that. It's free. Their full album drops on Valentine's Day. As always, I thank Miss Michelle Allen. She is our longtime sponsor, and she's your go-to in the area, and not just for real estate. She's a good contact to reach out to as a professional if you're looking for any kind of leads for folks in the area. And Mason's High Octane Martial Arts, located in Covington since '93, been open 30 years. Be glad to have you guys come join us, masonsmartialarts.com. And the Cellar Restaurant and Prohibition Bar opens at 4 p.m. every day. We also have lunch from 11 to 2 now on Sundays. There's a lunch buffet. And then you can always come check us out. You may even see James there. He's there pretty regular. And Masonite Digital Marketing is ready to help you with your brand. Just check them out, masonitemarketing.com. And Josh would be glad to sell you all kinds of packages to make you feel
All the packages.
amazing.
All the packages.
So thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again next Tuesday with another Law Talk. Keep kicking. Thanks for watching, guys. Just remember that this is not legal advice or investment advice or business advice. This is for fun and entertainment purposes only.